she is now, Ellen Degeneres.
Thank you, right back at you. We have an interesting show for you guys today, a show that'll take you around the world without even having to stand up. As many of you know, I am notorious for being a world traveler and experiencing new things, especially foreign traditions. Recently, I traveled to two spectacular countries, India and Libya. First, we'll be talking to Suleiman from the lovely little town of Tripoli. And afterwards, we'll be talking to his parents, Baba and Mama. And then, we'll get a little taste of India when we talk to our friend Ballroom, also known as the White Tiger. We'll bring his employer and his wife in to surprise him after that. So before we bring Suleiman out for you today, I have some interesting news around the world. In the news today, the world's youngest person has just been born. The Federal Reserve cuts interest rates just to see what happens, and drugs are winning the drug war. Oh wait, this just in. There is a new person that has just been born, making them the newest youngest person in the world. Gosh guys, we're letting babies take over the world. But now, it's time for our first guest of the show. Everyone, please put your hands together for Suleiman!
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to visit me.
No problem.
So, how was your flight?
Well, it was definitely the first time I've ever flown, so it was an interesting experience, but I was a little scared the whole time.
That makes sense. So, what's your favorite color?
Mahogany?
If you could be any animal, what would you be?
I guess I'd have to say a swallow. I've always wanted to be a swallow.
Now, do you know the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Well, that depends. Are you talking about an African or a European swallow?
What do you mean? Moving on. So, I think that one of the best things that I experienced in your country was the food, obviously. Do you know what I'm talking about? What's your favorite part about Libya?
My favorite part is playing outside in the street with my friends, including my best friend Kareem. We like to play this game called My Land, Your Land.
Now, I don't think I've ever heard that game before. How do you play?
Yeah, it's a Libyan game, but you draw a line in the dirt, and then you take knives and you throw them into the dirt across the line at each other.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's play.
Okay, I have an extra set of knives actually I brought with me so we can play.
Well, I think we need to take this outside. So I'm here with Suleiman, and we're about to play the game, Your Land, My Land, where the object of the game is to throw knives at a target and see who can get their knives to stick in the ground closest to the target. And the winner wins. Oh, it's in. I win. Yay. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Congratulations, though. That was quite an impressive display of athleticism there.
Well, thanks. I just say I have beginner's luck at everything. But now we have to discuss some more important matters. Since being here, have you experienced any significant differences in the way that our government is run compared to the Libyan government?
Well, I think there are a lot of obvious differences between the two governments. In Libya, when I lived there, the government was always paranoid that the people would rebel. My own father was kidnapped by Gaddafi's people because he was on a newspaper that published anti-government material. This wouldn't happen here in the United States. You have, the Constitution, which is held to be the highest law, and it protects people's freedoms, like freedom of the press.
That is so true. God bless America. What is the best piece of advice your parents ever gave you as a child?
My parents told me that if I got a good job in Egypt, I should stay there so that I would never have to live under Gaddafi's oppressive rule.
But now that Gaddafi is dead, have you ever thought of returning to your homeland?
Yeah, I think so. I've been thinking about going back to visit my mother. I'm sure she's very lonely since my father was kidnapped.
Well, speaking of your parents, I have a very special surprise for you coming up right after the break.
Bowflex. Here we have somebody on our patented curl bar. Here we have somebody on our patented bike. Very nice. Here we have somebody on our leg press. Very talented, very strong. Here we have somebody lifting our free weights. Very nice. Here we have somebody doing pull-ups. They're using our equipment to their advantage. Very well done, sir. And finally, we have our patented treadmill system, guaranteed to make you lose weight. This entire system only costs $17,999. Here are some before and after pictures. See the results? Beautiful.
Welcome back to the show. Now, before I bring out the special guest that I promised Suleiman, I would like to introduce all of you to a special funny kid. Now, in the past, I've introduced you guys to talented people that I have an obsession with, and my most recent obsession is Sophia Grace and Rosie, the two little British girls that just entertain me. But now, I've recruited a hysterical kid that will keep you laughing until you cry. So everyone, put your hands together for Sir Jokes-A-Lot.
Thank you, everyone. You guys are too kind.
Okay.
So I put together some jokes for you, ones that I know you'll love. Hey, did you hear about the wooden car with a wooden engine? Well, it wouldn't go. What's small, brown, and sits on a piano stool? Beethoven's last movement. Did you hear about the soldier that survived mustard gas and pepper spray? Well, he's now a seasoned veteran. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
I eat my poo.
If John has 50 candy bars and eats 45, what does he have now? Diabetes. So I submitted 10 puns to a pun contest, hoping one would win. Well, no pun intended. I knew a guy once addicted to brake fluid. Said he can stop anytime. Two fish are sitting in a tank. One of them says to the other, "Do you know how to drive this thing?" Thanks, that's all I have for you today.
Okay, well, maybe Sophia Grace and Rosie will continue to be my obsession. That guy needs a little work on his jokes. But I digress. As I told you before the break, I have some special guests, not only to me and all of you, but to Suleiman as well. So everybody give a round of applause to Suleiman's parents, Najwa and Faraj.
Bubba, I thought you were dead.
I miss you too.
Mama, I miss you so much.
I don't know how to respond. I think I need to take a few minutes to control myself. I'm so happy.
How is your illness doing?
I've actually been sober for 2 months now.
Well, that's very impressive. We're all so proud of you, aren't we? Faraj, can you tell us what happened after you were kidnapped? I'm sure Suleiman is dying to know.
Well, I was kept in a prison with other kidnapped men in Tripoli. There were other men from the newspaper there. We were barely fed and we were tortured. After several months, the rebel forces made their way into Tripoli and found the compound we were being held and freed us all.
Faraj, I was very sorry to hear about your friend Ushda Rashid. Can you tell me more about that experience?
Despite the number of deaths I witnessed during that time, that one was the hardest to bear. Usar Rashid was a very good friend to me, and to see him reduced to that form and killed so disrespectfully, it was very hard.
Yes, it's a very sad story indeed. Najwa, what was raising Suleiman like when your husband was rarely around?
At times it was very hard. I gave in to my alcoholism more than I would like, but Suleiman was a very obedient child and always looked out for me like a man of the household should have.
That's such a riveting story. I'm sure Oprah would never have asked these kinds of questions. I know I can speak for everyone when I say that we are very glad your family made it through such a hard time. Suleiman, did you expect to see your father again?
Honestly, I assumed the worst. I've been trying for quite some time to convince myself that he'd be gone forever. But when I found out about the rebellion in Libya and Gaddafi's eventual death, I kept some hope alive that he would make a safe return someday.
So, Faraj, how does it feel to see your son again?
To be honest, it feels amazing. I always had such high hopes for my son. He has such a good heart. I am so proud of who he's become, and I hope that he can forgive his mother and I for sending him away so many years ago. It was only because we wanted what was best for him.
Your father is right, Suleiman. I'm so proud of you. I'm so thankful Ellen could bring us all back together again.
Suleiman, how did you feel when you were sent to Egypt by your parents?
At first I resented them. I couldn't believe that my own parents would send me away. But now I realize, seeing them here, that they were just doing what was best for me and my safety.
This reunion has been very touching. We are ecstatic that you were able to we were able to reunite such a beautiful family. Just another day on the Ellen Degeneres show. Coming up after the break, we will see the second half of our show, in which I sit down with Ballroom, a disgruntled driver from India who killed his former boss. This could get interesting. You won't want to miss this, folks.
Hey, yo, Nick. What's up?
Just having a Powerade. Watching the game.
True.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Cam. Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? Hey, yo, Nick. What's up?
Just having a Powerade. Watching the game.
True.
So after I traveled to Libya, I ventured over to the huge country of India. And there I met many people. One of them, an interesting man that you will all see. Everyone, please welcome Ballroom. How do you do?
Doing well, thank you.
So, how's the taxi business been doing?
It's been going back and forth. It's honest living.
Really?
Who am I kidding? I paid off a police officer to not take any bribes from my competitors. The irony is so large it gets smoothly wrinkled off an elephant.
So I heard you've been cooped up with your nephew for the past year. How has that worked out?
He's been doing well for himself. He might even be as successful as me one day.
Are you really sure that you want him to be like you?
With respect to completely betraying his family, no. But if he uses the lessons I've given him to start his own business, he could be fairly rich.
Lessons like lying, cheating, and stealing?
Lessons like survival of the fittest. It's not just a dog-eat-dog world out there. Cats are eating cats. Chickens are eating chickens. Rats are eating rats. Like I always say, those are the biggest bellies grow rich.
I'm glad you're being such a good father. And I've brought in someone that I don't think you've seen in quite a while. So everyone, please welcome Pinky Madame. Well, it's great that you were able to come, Pinky. What was it like living in India as an American?
I felt out of place, but I was lucky that I was married to such a wealthy man because people of lower status were treated so poorly.
What's your least favorite thing about India?
I hated that there was government corruption and poverty everywhere you turned. The worst part was knowing that my husband was a part of it.
That makes sense. Is that the reason you divorced your husband?
Well, it was many different reasons, but ultimately, yes, that was why I left him. The amount of corruption in India became too much for me to bear. My husband always tried to use his wealth to get him out of bad situations, and even to impress me. At first, it was nice to be with a man who had such wealth, but after a while, I needed to get away from it. His money could no longer satisfy me.
That's very understandable. I need a good man with money. Money can't buy my love. So, are there any events you'd like to run over with us?
Is that supposed to mean something?
Well, I heard that you were involved in a minor car accident.
Yes, well, I may have had a bit too much to drink that night.
Go on.
Well, that night I asked Ballroom to let me drive, and as I was driving, a child jumped out into the middle of the street and I ran him over. I felt terrible about it, and my husband even tried to bribe the judge and convince Ballroom to take the blame for it. Afterwards, I just couldn't live with the guilt. It was too much.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should not drink and drive. We'll be right back after another short break.
So here we are with Clorox wipes. Look at this. Just wipe it on and it's clean. Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Here, come look at this, come look at this. You see this dust spot right here? Watch. Gone. That's how we roll here. Here we are with Oakley. Watch. Look at all that mud, dirt, and grime. Cleans it right off. Clorox sanitary wipes.
So, during my world travels, I learned some interesting tricks along the way. Don't ask me how or why I learned this particular trick, but I now know how to summon someone from the dead. And I have a special someone in mind that I think would create a little oomph to my show today. So, without further ado, here we go.
What's going on? Where am I? I was just learning how to moonwalk from Michael Jackson. Who are you?
It worked?
Hey, Ashok. Nice to see you in this neck of the woods again.
What?
Sorry to cut your life short like that.
Yeah, you should be sorry. Why, hello there, sweetie. How are you doing?
Wow, I really wished you were dead. Imagine how I feel now.
The feeling is mutual.
So, sorry to interrupt this very beautiful conversation, but Mr. Ashok, how does it feel sitting here right now?
Well, I came back to my ex-wife who left me, and my driver who ended up killing me. So, pretty bad if you ask me.
Well, that's unfortunate. While we're on the topic, has your view of ballroom changed now since you were dead?
I think for the most part, I'm surprised. I always had a good view of ballroom. I always thought of him as a good servant and an honest worker. I guess I was very wrong in that sense.
How do you feel about this ballroom? Does it bother you that his view of you has changed?
To be honest, I'd be surprised if he liked me, considering I killed him.
Do you have anything to say to Mr. Ashok right now?
Believe it or not, I do somewhat like Mr. Ashok as a person, or the person he was before I killed him. I just did not like what he stood for in society.
I suppose that is understandable, considering I treated you like a servant.
I think you two should hug. Aww. Well, isn't that sweet? Okay, when we come back, we will bring all of our guests in for one last time. Back after this.
For the low, low price of just $14, you can get one of these very, very special dogs. These rescue dogs are very important. They're very needy, and they're the best dogs you could ever have. Adopt a rescue dog.
Welcome back, everyone. We now have all of my friends in the same room to share some advice and tips on family. So let's start with you, Solomon.
I learned that one's country is not as important as one's family.
Very inspiring. Faraj, Najwa, do you have any advice for our viewers?
Being brave is speaking up about what you believe in despite the consequences.
And sometimes the right decision isn't always the easiest.
That's very true. Everyone should take this advice to heart. Ballroom, do you have anything to say?
Do whatever it takes to make it to the top. Survival of the fittest always applies.
Well, maybe not always. But all right, sure. What about you, Pinky? Do you have any words of wisdom? Do you have any words of wisdom?
Money is not the answer to all of life's problems, and if you don't like where you are in life, change it. Don't let love blind you.
That's very insightful, Pinky. And you, Mr. Shook, popping out of nowhere? Before I send you back to Mr. Jackson, any last words? Literally?
I learned that you cannot trust everyone. And I learned the hard way.
Alright, well thank you everybody. It's been a tremendous show. Audience? Audience, I hope you've enjoyed your trip around the world through the living and the dead. Goodbye. We hope you will join us next time around the world with me. This is Ellen Degeneres saying, be kind to everyone.